Have you ever wondered where the tooth fairy tradition actually started? Perhaps you stayed up all night in the hope of capturing a glimpse of this mysterious creature. What exactly did she do with all those teeth? And where did she get all that money from? Welcome to the Mysteries of Mythology, the Tooth Fairy. The Tooth Fairy, as we know her today, is a relatively recent addition to the pantheon of mythical beings. For those who aren't familiar, the Tooth Fairy is a magical figure who visits children when they lose a baby or milk tooth. Kids place their tooth under the pillow before going to bed, and in the morning they find money or a small treat in its place. This tradition is particularly well known in the United States and Canada, though it's spread to other parts of the world. Growing up in London, England, I was very familiar with this story. There is an early mention of the Tooth Fairy in the Chicago Daily Tribune in 1908, in its Household Hints section by the author Lillian Brown. In this article, Brown writes, "Many a refractory child will allow a loose tooth to be removed if he knows about the Tooth Fairy. If he takes his little tooth and puts it under the pillow when he goes to bed, the Tooth Fairy will come in the night and take it away, and in its place will leave some little gift. It is a nice plan for mothers to visit the 5-cent counter and lay in a supply of articles to be used on such occasions." Not long after this idea appeared, a short play aptly named The Tooth Fairy, written by Esther Watkins Arnold in 1927, helped shape what we think of as the Tooth Fairy today. Then, in 1949, a book by Lee Rogo, also called The Tooth Fairy, made the story even more popular, especially in the 1950s. Nowadays, the Tooth Fairy has increased her contributions in line with modern inflation, perhaps giving some insights into her interest in economics and modern capitalism. It's even rumored that she now provides credits via PayPal and Apple Pay. According to the Visa Annual Tooth Fairy Report for 2015, the average trade for a child's pearly whites was $3.19. And in the Delta Dental Tooth Fairy Index, yes, it's a real thing, the price of a tooth had increased to $5.84, a decline of 6% on the previous year. When I asked you, the YouTube audience, how much you received from the Tooth Fairy, 76% said $1 or less, 13% said $2 to $5, 3% said $6 to $10, 3% said $11 to $20, and 5% said, "Papa bought me a castle." Many of the earlier customs of the Tooth Fairy, or its equivalent, centered around mice, rats, and other rodents. It's thought that this relationship to rodents is because they have strong, sharp, and straight teeth that often last for their entire lifetimes. Perhaps the closest version to the modern-day Tooth Fairy can be found in a French fairy tale. In 1697, Madame d'Aulnoy wrote La Bonne Petite Souris, or The Good Little Mouse. In this tale, a tyrannical king imprisons the kind and beloved queen. Desperate, the queen whispers a plea for help to a tiny mouse that scurries by her cell. But this was no ordinary mouse. With a flash of light, it transformed into a shimmering fairy. The fairy used her magic to free the queen, and in a display of swift justice, knocked out the king's teeth. As a final act of mischief, the fairy tucked the king's teeth under his own pillow before disappearing. The fate of the king remained to be seen, but the people rejoiced at their queen's return. This tale linked fairies and mice to the world of lost teeth. Spain also has its own version, with a tooth-collecting mouse named El Raton Perez, introduced by Luis Coloma in 1894. The writer, Luis Coloma, crafted a story specifically for the young King Alfonso XIII, who had just lost a tooth. In the Middle Ages, warriors believed children's first teeth brought good luck in battle, paying tandfai, or a tooth fee, for them. This was a fee that was paid once a child lost their first tooth. This tradition has been recorded as far back as the 1200s in the Poetic Edda and the Prose Edda, the two literary works where we get most of our references to Norse mythology. In the Norse culture, Scandinavian warriors would hang children's teeth on a string around their necks to improve their luck on the battlefield. People also left teeth for mice, seeking their blessing for strong teeth, a practice known as sympathetic magic. The tooth fairy tradition has roots in various global customs. In some cultures, a lost tooth from the bottom jaw is thrown over the roof, while a tooth from the upper jaw is placed under the floorboards, hoping the new teeth grow straight and strong. The image of the tooth fairy as we know it started to take shape more recently. In the 1970s, a radio DJ mentioned the tooth fairy on air, and suddenly the American Dental Association was flooded with calls from people wanting to know more. This led Dr. Rosemary Wells, a professor at Northwestern University's dental school, to become the official tooth fairy consultant. With very little information available, she pulled together what she could and hypothesized that the tooth fairy was a cross between the beloved mouse and the traditional good fairy. Her studies revealed interesting findings. A 1984 survey showed that 74% of participants saw the tooth fairy as female, 12% thought of it as neither male nor female, and 8% believed it could be either. Some even imagined the tooth fairy as a rabbit, mouse, pixie, or even a dragon, showing just how many faces and styles the tooth fairy can have, as varied as the people who imagine them. Disney has also significantly shaped our view of the tooth fairy, especially as a female Tinkerbell-style fairy. Movies like Cinderella, Peter Pan, and Sleeping Beauty introduced fairy godmother figures who guide and support children through challenges. This imagery helped mold the tooth fairy into a maternal, supportive figure. Much like how Coca-Cola's marketing shaped the public image of Santa Claus, Disney gave a face to the tooth fairy, making the concept more recognizable and widely adopted. One notably darker depiction appears in Hellboy 2, The Golden Army, where tooth fairies are portrayed as mischievous creatures with a ravenous appetite for more than just teeth. They consume anything in their path, including bone and hair. This portrayal taps into the darker roots of fairy tales, where not all magical beings are benevolent. On a lighter note, the tooth fairy also appears in the family comedy The Tooth Fairy, where a tough hockey player, played by Dwayne Johnson, is magically transformed into a tooth fairy as a punishment for discouraging a young fan. So, there you have it, the intriguing history and evolution of the tooth fairy. The tooth fairy is a beloved mythical creature that has been helping children overcome their fear of losing their baby teeth. It creates memorable moments for parents when a child loses a tooth. The story completes when the child actively participates, placing the tooth under their pillow in exchange for a special gift or some money from this magical fairy. From medieval superstitions and Viking warriors to modern-day commercialism, the tooth fairy has a rich and varied background. The next time you find a tooth under a pillow, you'll know just how deep this tradition's roots go. What are your thoughts on the tooth fairy? Did you have any special traditions when you lost a tooth? Share your stories in the comments below.